You're listening to the Things Podcast, brought to you by the Things Industries.
Hi, everybody. This is Alex Pault, and I'm here at the Things Conference with Suyash Joshi, and he's with Influx Data, and I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be at this conference.
Well, Suyash, there's so much going on in the Internet of Things right now, and this show has been growing and growing. So what has Influx Data brought to the event today?
We have brought our database. So we are the creators of InfluxDB. It's the leading time series database used by a lot of IoT, industrial IoT users, partners. So this is the perfect conference to talk about how you can store, process data for real-time analytics, edge AI use cases as well in InfluxDB.
Well, Suyash, when you think about it, we are swimming in data, and the IoT is just providing more and more and more data constantly. When you think about everything from the additional data from digital twins to tracking applications to the layers of security and the layers of functionality, that's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's huge. And it's growing with robotics. We have a lot of customers now in space tech. So you can imagine satellite, so much sensors they have, aerospace and robotics, which is, I feel, the next big revolution that's upon us. Huge amount of data is being generated, and all of that has to be stored and processed, especially for edge AI, autonomous agents, raw physical agents. So we have a lot of customers using it for various interesting use cases, and they're storing that in InfluxDB because you can store very quickly, get the data out very quickly. You can process the data as well for edge AI ML use cases.
So do you have a use case that you said some interesting use cases. Do you have an interesting use case to talk to us about?
Yeah, there are many use cases. So in Europe, there are a lot of energy infrastructure companies. So there's a customer, they do energy monitoring of wind farms, and they store that in batteries, and they do energy trading. So they have built a platform, and inside they use InfluxDB to store all of this data from various sensors that are tracking various energy metrics. Another one is we have a data center customer that has a robot that tracks the temperature, because data center, they want to keep it cool. And they track various metrics of data center operations, and they do all on InfluxDB. And they also do edge AI processing to make sure the energy values are in line with how the data center should be operational efficiency.
So, Suyash, when you think about all of that data, and it has to be stored, it has to be collated, it has to be husbanded, it can't just sit there. How much do you help them with interpreting that data?
So, that we have the database, which is the core, but you're right, the data has to be interpreted. So we work with a lot of partners. Grafana is a big partner. There are other companies, Power BI, Apache Superset, where users can integrate InfluxDB with to create a real-time dashboard, visualize the data. Or if they want to take the data in a data lake, so they can take it to Snowflakes or Databricks and then train machine learning on that data. So we integrate really easily hardware companies with LoRaWAN. So we integrate with hardware manufacturers as well to get the sensor data easily in InfluxDB.
Well, good answer. I'm also thinking about application spaces that are very heavy data oriented, like digital twins, which is a relatively new application space. How many other spaces are you starting to see like that are coming up that weren't in existence before, but need a tremendous amount of data?
Yeah, digital twins is great. That's a big one. Space tech. As space is becoming more affordable in many ways.
And non-terrestrial networks for communications.
Exactly. And the robotics is another one. Autonomous vehicles. So autonomous vehicles, not just like on the road, but also we have customers that are in Australia. They're like mining operations, and they have fleet that is moving around autonomously and moving, coals and things around. So a lot of these use cases, manufacturing, space tech, these are growing use cases.
I can imagine. Now, of all of these cases that you have seen, are there any that strike you as different? Like, wow, I didn't think you could do that, or that's an interesting way to use that tech.
Yeah, so our database, so it's meant to store data from sensors. So these are numerical values or even text data. But we have had so this data center customer, they were using a robot that was taking pictures using infrared thermal camera to detect the temperature of the machinery. And that image, they are storing it as a binary and putting that in our database. So our database is not designed to store images, but they found a creative way to store it because they just liked InfluxDB a lot and to do data processing on it. And that was really eye-opener that somebody is using for a non-traditional use case, and they're happy with that.
I can imagine. So what about the other side of the coin? Are there application spaces that you feel could use your tech more but aren't?
Yes, so industrial IoT is a big one. Apart from that, developer DevOps is another one. Finance is another one. I think real time, you can imagine stock trading data. It's huge. Healthcare is another one. So a lot of healthcare metrics that are coming from sensors. I think that is underutilized. That could be another big space application space where people need to discover that you don't need to write all this data in MySQL or Postgres, which are not designed for time series data. Time series data, you need a purpose-built database for that. And that's where I think InfluxDB, more people should, and hopefully the podcast would help.
I hope so too. Now, Suyash, when you think about those aspects, are there any aspects of the company that have not come up in this conversation that you want to make sure that the audience knows about?
Thank you for asking that. So we are very proud we have the new version that came out earlier this year, version 3 of InfluxDB. There is a really cool feature that's one of my favorite. It's a processing engine inside the database. What it allows is developers can not only just store data and query data from the database, but they can do data processing, meaning you can deploy a machine learning model, and inside the database, you can run this model to do, let's say, anomaly detection or do a forecasting on the time series data. So in manufacturing, the big, North Star is preventative maintenance or predictive maintenance. To get to predictive maintenance, this would be a step to do machine learning on this data that's coming in, detect problems before they happen, have, countermeasures, and the processing engine, which is this Python environment in our database, that is, I think, one of the key aspects that I feel more people should leverage, and I hope they will.
I hope they will as well. So, are there any last words you want to leave our audience with before I let you go?
Well, I just say thank you again, and if you're interested, check out influxdata.com. That's our website where people can find every information.
Very cool. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.